Hi, and welcome. Today, we're going to be talking about one of the new functions within Ruckus Analytics called Data Studio. You all know, you're all in the same position I am as far as being, the one that the customer calls and says, "Hey, I don't understand why this is happening. I can't understand why this is broken or what's happening on my network." And what I tend to do is go into analytics and say, okay, well, let me see, what we can do to find out why that's happening. So in this environment, what we can do when we're looking at our dashboards, if you scroll over here, just hover over actions, you get the magic button right there. Okay. That is an export. So I can literally go into this environment within, my own controlled lab. I can build visualizations that would make sense for the customer problem or the customer data that they're looking for. I can build those reports in the comfort of my own home with my own equipment, knowing the system and breaking things and validating to make sure that's the right data. I can save it and then export it and then email it to the customer for them to import into their RA environment. And then it's instant. As soon as they run that report or open that dashboard, it pulls the relative data for their system without them having to do a thing. So let me show you the value of that. If we go into settings and I go into import, okay, it's going to give me a pop-up that says import dashboards, right? Choose your file. These are some of the ones that I've done for customers just in the last couple of weeks. So let's take a look at AP to switch controller. So this report, I had a customer that's on a 4-node virtual smart zone high scale, and they were concerned because when they were in the controller itself, they were saying, hey, controller 1 only has 15 APs associated to it, and controllers 3 and 4 both have over 200 APs associated with it. So I'm concerned why it's not load balancing across the cluster the way that we think it should. And I said, okay, well, let's take a look at that. So I built this dashboard. So I'm going to import it here. And you don't ever want to change the database. It's only one database, but that's where it's a Druid database, obviously. And that's where all of our data is stored. So I'm going to upload this. Okay, so now what you're going to see, it's going to bring it in, device to controller association. It's still draft, so nobody else, Clifton, if you're in there, you probably can't see that report because it's still draft. But I'm going to open it up, and we're going to see what this is. So in this particular case, you have controller to AP association and controller to switch association. So you see the controller name, the AP name, and they wanted the IP address and MAC address. I thought that was important for both of these systems. And then ultimately what we were able to do is show that the reason that the APs were low was because that controller had the majority of their switches on it as well. And they weren't seeing that in the view that they were looking at within Smart Zone itself, because the Smart Zone is still bifurcated. It shows APs in one view and switches in another view. Here, I was able to visualize both, so then you could actually sort it by controller 1 and then see, okay, well, there's, and we could filter it and do all kinds of fun things. So I added some filters up here. Yeah, so if I said, okay, I only want to know virtual smart zone 1, so I added that filter. Whoops. So now if I apply this, it's going to show me only virtual smart zone 1 associations. So there we go. Now, again, this is something that you can build overnight. You can build it on your own time, and then ultimately just email that dashboard file. They would go into under dashboards. They would go into the plus, or I'm sorry, they would go into the plus dashboard. Whoops, not the plus dashboard, sorry. You go under settings, import dashboard. They would back out of that. They would go to import dashboard. They would pull that file off of their email, and they would see it here just like we saw. And it would be relative to their own data, not data from my test environment, because it's a framework. It's not collecting the actual data when it stores that particular data set information. The nice thing is when they do import that dashboard, if we now go back into charts, you're going to see here now is a series of charts that I built for that dashboard. It brought those in as well. So if I wanted to go in and modify, or the customer said, well, that's not exactly what I needed, they could actually go into their charts. They could go in and pull up exactly how I built that, and then modify, filter, do some customizations with visualization, whatever it is that they wanted to do. Or even better yet, to teach a person how to fish, they can see how I built it and then replicate that for other things that they're of interest in doing. So with that, the power of Data Studio is phenomenal. I think that it's, a lot of people kind of hem and haw about, that that Data Explorer was, much more refined and much more user-friendly and everything else. And I think that's just a matter of time that, as you get used to Data Studio, you'll find that things are fairly intuitive. Things are very accessible and very able to be visualized very well. Again, so I'm just in the background here highlighting this one that we just imported as a favorite. If I go to the home screen now, you'll see dashboards favorites. Here's the one that I've highlighted. If I just want to see ones that I've created, these are obviously in draft. I don't have any charts that were favorited.